Hi guys, welcome to another Computing Corner video, and in this video we're going to be setting up Windows NT4, and there's a few firsts in here as well. So just have a look at where we are. Let's press start and watch what happens. So this is, straight away I've noticed, this is the first NT version of Windows to support IDE controllers, which is what the CD-ROM's about. I'll just go straight to page down to the bottom and press F8. I'm going to do a new install. Set that for the UK, and I'm going to, at this point, get rid of this partition and start again. There are some other things I need to explain about, which I will do. Also, if you're to include DOS on that, which I'm not, so there's not really a problem here, but if you were to install this on top of DOS, you would have to take into account that only goes up to 2 gigabytes. That is absolutely fine. We'll just press escape because it doesn't really do much. But as I said, if you install this on top of DOS, you can only go up to 2 gigabytes. We'll remove the CD because that's what it's asking me to do. I'm using VMware Fusion again because it didn't work too well on Windows NT3.x. And oh yeah, that would make sense. I forgot I had my transfer disk still connected, which is why it wasn't doing anything. That's showing up as Service Pack 1, but when it finishes, it will then show Service Pack 6. This is the version of Windows that had the most service packs, 6 of them to be exact. You need to reconnect the CD at this point, otherwise it's not going to continue the setup. It will just ask for the CD anyway. And there you go. It looks like this was based on Windows 95 because we've got the setup like Windows 95. Click Next. And then we'll click Custom. So you get to see the options that are available. My phone was about to go off then. Good job I stopped it on time. Next. I think I might have to rename this this part of Darren's Corner because it's getting confusing. And Computing Corner, I don't know why, but I'm starting to find it's becoming more of a tongue twister. So there may be a renaming in the pipelines. I will keep you updated on a on a post of this very channel. And we'll just there we go. And then I don't need a password. I definitely don't want an emergency repair disk. And this is where you set stuff up. We need 43.7 megabytes. We've got loads of space. Got a 4 gigabyte hard drive on here. Just remember, if you're installing from DOS, you'd need to limit that to 2 gig. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to run back. You won't be able to use it again afterwards. Let's click next. And now it's just setting up the networking side of things. I'm going to say do not connect this computer to a network at the time. If you try, it will be sod. Setup is sorting stuff out. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to do a load of stuff off screen as well. Setting up the software and all of that jazz. There's one thing I'll do on screen though, and that is to install the hardware. So VMware tools. There's no sound on here, so don't be psyched by this bit. It's installing the sounds, but you haven't got any. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything software-wise off screen, and I'm going to put at the bottom all the programs I would like to show you, and then we'll just have a look at other things that makes up Windows NT4. But join me back in a bit, and I will get that all set up for you. And I'm back. Just quickly, before I install any software, I wanted to show you what this does. So now, when you come to personalising the computer, you can now see it on screen. So you can now see a preview as to what you can expect. So this is what Blue Monday looks like. I love that. But of course, you just have to change that. So there's the normal one, and there's 16 colours. There's Coffee Bean. I like the look of that one. And Coffee Bean, 16 colours. Feather texture, that's most likely the one I'll end up going for. Fiddlehead, I like that one as well. And Furry Dog, and that's in 16 colour. Geometrics, I like the look of that as well. Gone Fishing, Greenstone, Hazy Autumn, that's 16 colours. Hiking Boot. The one I want to look at is the Rhododendron. I like that. But I'm going to go for the feather texture, because that's my most favourite one of them all. But you can also do a screensaver as well, which if you have a look, you've got on the maze. And then I'll set that up by just remembering what we went for. So I've gone for, this is the floor, which I then put as a swimming pool. And that's the walls I've looked at. So the walls is seaside. Seaside. Floor, I've put as the waves, the swimming pool. Always reverts back to default when you select it the first time around. The ceiling, I'm just going to have it as, I wanted to have it as the sky, but that's not going to happen. And that's reverted back as well. Let me have a look at, so that's what you do to change it. Let me change that to, just have a look. Geometrics. Geometrics. Why do you keep reverting back the first time I select something? And let's see what it looks like. Now that's not what I usually would go for. When I do the actual Windows side of things, I will show you what I go for. But it works in practically the same way as you'd expect. And as much as I could sit and watch this for hours, I've got to work with that. Let's have a look at, I'm just going to have a look at, of course, my mouse has once again escaped from my virtual machine. Let me have a look at that one and see what that does for, yeah, it stays the same. The bit stays the same. So I'll just stick with standard. And then everything else would fall into place as well. So join me back in a bit because I'm going to install the rest of the software off screen and we'll take you through some exciting stuff, including a whole load of firsts. And I'm back and everything's all set up and it's ready for me to go. Now the one thing that you'll notice already that I was able to this is the first version of NT Windows to support long file names. So as you can see, what you can see here is I have completely restructured my DMC Studios D drive, which then gives you everything in its long form apart from that, what I've done to my sonic ring counter. Speaking of which, I'll update that soon. And then I'll go into more detail with that later on down the line. But with that in mind, if you're wondering where all my old files are, my old archives, I've put them in a separate folder called Old Windows Archives, and then you get to see that as well. So there's all my old documents there. These are all from Windows NT 3.51 and older. There's my program files. You can no longer open that up on there. You need Visual Basic 2 for that, and I don't think it runs here. And I'll do my usual paint file for NT4. I'll do that quickly now while I think about it, while it's fresh on my mind. So I've got all the dialog boxes set up, but I'm going to get rid of that for now. I'm just going to close that off as well. I'm going to go into Paint because it's been renamed to Paint now, and I'll quickly sort that out. And this is the paint that we're all used to. Oh, come on. Massive file though. Let me just overlay over what I've got there at the moment. There we go. Now I can see, now I can put stuff in a more better way of things. And all the colours are down there as well. Let me just start by doing this one. I can write a lot better on here than I could in the first few versions of Windows. And also, if you have a look, you can now undo up to 3 moves at once. And pressing F4 redoes it. So if you ever make a mistake, it only undoes the one move at a time instead of getting rid of everything like it did before, which is a relief. And then I'll change that to this colour. And this was, I think this must have been the server version of Windows 95, the later version. But then I'm not too sure about it from this stage because this system's, it's too old to tell. I like the look of that as well. Like that. And then I'm going to put in the release year. Not like that. I mean, that looks a lot better. I mean, it's just nice that I can do this in a bigger screen as well. Because I've now installed VMware Work Tools. That was a sound coming from my watch. My watch is about to die, so when the next break, I will have to put that on charge. I'm down to 9%. That's gone down really quickly. And then you know what? I'm going to chuck in the Roman numeral as well. Because why not? It's getting long. It's getting to that length in this coming time as well. I'm going to also put in the date of this video as well. Loads of twos here. But of course, if we'd done this in 2022, it would have been a palindrome. It not only would it have been a palindrome, but it would have been it. Yeah, it would have not only that, but it would also have made a nice pattern. It's just rather unfortunate that we're doing this in this case in 2025. And then we'll chuck in a window, a rectangle, a blue outline, a coloured outline, and yeah, that is just going to show up white. So with that in mind, if you right click, that's where the colour bit comes in. So we'll save that. This is going to take up quite a bit of space, and I'm going to put it into the usual place. Come up as 24-bit bitmap. 24-bit bitmap. And then I have to save that as it, and I'll just leave that as it is. And then with that in mind, what we're going to do is we will have a look at how much space that took up by looking at that. Yeah, but my point exactly. I've now gone up to 9. I'm now using 9.37 megabytes, which is rather interesting to say the least. But of course, when I've extended, at the next video, I would have extended both hard drives to 150 gigabytes. You can rename that as well, which is good. So it's amazing. So with that, you start off at 138 kilobytes, and now you're going up to 7.71 megabytes. Try to imagine what the later ones are going to do if it with that same caliber. So the next thing I wanted to look at is to update the rings counter, because this is how I've recreated it. So I'll close it off. And then I'll go into Visual Basic this way. Let's minimize that down and open it up. So the one thing I want to do is add label. There's a few things I want to do. One of them would be to add labels. And just before I do that, I'm going to make this right aligned, because you can now align the text. I'm going to shrink that down to I'm going to shrink it down to 2 to the the equivalent of 2 boxes. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change these about. And then I'll add a label. Which then I'll put as that. One ring, 10 rings, and then I'm going to rename that to damage, and you'll see why. And then we'll make that sorry, I'm just rubbing my eyes for a moment. Damage button. And then with that in mind, that's going to get rid of the code that I had. So I'm just going to make it that. Copy it, put it into not rings text, but the damage button, and make it 0. And then we'll introduce an if statement in that very shortly. But for now, I'm just getting back to the label because I want to make that rings label. Give it a meaningful name. And now, here comes the fun part. Yeah, that's the same. Make that right justified. I'll go with do 3. And then do the name to be lives text. And then we'll put in a label. Just up here. And then we'll call that lives label. And then put in there in the caption lives. I do want to make that right aligned. And also, I would like to have it like that so I can see what's going on. We need also 3 more buttons. Like that. And then do that. This one will be live plus one life button, plus 1 life, gain 1 button, I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it one up button, button, and then with that I'll go lives text.text. +1, and then I'm going to save. I'm going to copy that for a later piece of code, which will be the other way. I just want to see how far I'm in, how far into this I am. Well, I'm nearly done. I just wanted to add a few bits to it. And then I'm going to put here, lose one button. So join me back in a bit, guys. I need to take a quick phone call. And I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to take a quick phone call. That's where I got to, lose one life, so that then becomes -1. So I just want to check that. And then I can now update the damage on that. So see if I can do if brings, so we'll do that. And then and if that way. And then what we do is on that is do the following. If lives counter, if lives text.text equals 0, then rings text.text lives text.text and the if. I'm just going to test that out, because if it doesn't work on this one, it'd be a quick way to work that out. Yeah, it works. But now you just need to disable everything apart from the close button. So we go 1. Let me just double check all of that. +1. +1 button dot enabled equals false. +10 button dot enabled equals false. Oops. it would help if I can spell. Damage button, whoops, dot enabled equals false. One up button dot enabled equals false, and lose one button dot enabled equals false. Let's try that. There we go. I do want to make these tab stop false. Can't do read only on that just yet, but at least that helps. There we go. And then what I'll do at this point is do another button. So I'll try again to do the close button on here. Just do me close. Yeah, so yeah, let me try the me close expression. Okay, method or data not found. That's not a problem. Well, we don't need that then. The hell? Okay, so oh, that's why. Let's get rid of that then. I was just wasting time. And then I'm going to make that an exe as well. Replace that. Yes, yes. And we'll make that rings counter. And there we go. And then when you open that back up, you'll see that it's been updated to do the following. Okay. So that doesn't help. No, of course it doesn't, because what that okay, I'll have to update that code later on down the line, but I will do that later because there's still so much to see and not much time to do it in. Probably correct that off screen. So the next thing I wanted to look at was my generative pie chart, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Make this cluster size, introduce the cluster size. and then we do and work on that as well. So we'll do that, and then so that works with that. For now it does. I'm going to make a thick bottom border of that too. And I think at this point I'm also going to format those as well to make it, because you can now use the thousandth separator like so. And also what you can do, I'm going to update that to 12. I'm actually going to put that up to 20. Can I make that 45? Yeah, of course I can. Because I'll update that later. And I'll make that I'll make that into a number form as well. Another thing you can do while I'm thinking about it is update the pie chart. So what you can do, sorry for my long spell of silence, my long spells of silence, shall I say, is you can make it look like an actual Microsoft pie chart. But what I do want to do is have it so I go down. I want to have it so the base bit's half the size. Like 50% of base. There we go, that's what I'm after. 25%, 30% of base, 40% of base. There we go, that was what I was after. And then we can then just do that. And then that will change as follows. But what I want to do is then update that to make it times by whatever that is, which is 8. And then that times 8. And then that would then be divided by 8. So I think what I might do then at this point is just put the 8 there. And then just update it accordingly. make that white. So that's F3, which then makes it a lot easier for me just to do that. And then I can adjust it as such. So if I now put 32, yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, of course, because I now need to do for the same thing for this as well. It's cannot resolve circular references. So now I'll be able to do that. So then when I add in a sector, that will change accordingly. And then if I want to change that, you can now have it so it's that. And then if I wanted to, I could do something like this and do 8 again as well, and then do 8 there. That automatically changes. I'm going to make that 22.5. Make that 30. And then with that, I can then just, if I can just move them about, I can just, yeah, I'll update that later. Because I want to be able to then just do that. And then you've got that as well. Which we can work with. Whoops, let's try that. There we go. But for now, let's go for 8. And do the 128. And then I can update that accordingly. And then do 65, which does that, 63, which goes the other way. And there you go. Let's save that. And that is an upgrade to that spreadsheet. Another thing I wanted to look at is we've got Microsoft Works, which this is made for Windows 95. And then you are given a demo as to what you would expect. And then you've got that little progressy wheel around the bottom, which tells you how to work with that, tells you what to work with. I will show you what the database looks like so far. I'm going to update that accordingly as such, and then I'm going to make that, I think I'll make that 6, I make that 20. Let's make that 16. and then at some point, just going to have it so I put 500 gigabytes just so I can then widen that out and then make that 4 gig again. But that's what we're looking at the moment. After 8, come out of that. That's what we've done. Let's just arrange the icons by name because that sorts itself out. Let's see what I've got there. 9.37 megabytes. That's not using up that much. Too bad it doesn't show that it's. Too bad it's not showing the size on disk. Just showing that. And Windows versions analyzed so far. We've done that. There's the Bitmus machine, which we're going to look at later. And I'll make that aerial as well. And I can now make those top and bottom. So now you get to see what's going on. And then what I'll do is I'm going to see if I can get rid of those grid lines. How do I get rid of those grid lines? I don't think I can, not yet at least. So in which case we'll just have a look at that. The generating Bitmus machine was created in a previous version of Microsoft Excel. Yeah, I do want to upgrade it because I'm only going to go newer. I'm only going to start using newer releases as I progress through each system. Okay, so with that in mind, we do want to have a look at the bookshelf, but we can have a look at that in Windows 95. We'll have a look at the updates to what we've got on here. So we've looked at Paint. That's now become WordPad. And this is what it looks like. Like so. And then we'll come out of that. We don't want to save it. And then we've got a new game, which is called Pinball. Let's see how well I do it. See how well I do here, or rather, how badly I do. I did, when it was on Windows ME, get a score of about 14 million, but I guess that's because I got stuck in that hyperspace thing. I'm about to get a skill shot of 75,000. This ball's a bit more harder to keep control of. So I'm up to 100,000. Did rather badly on the test run of this game, as I was just doing my research to set everything up. I've got a hyperspace bonus. Now you've got to be careful with that thing there, because if you think about it, just want to think time. That's your fuel. That was a good save. There's your fuel gauge. So if you go through that station bit there, or you go up, it will top up your fuel. But it's difficult to do that. If you fail, if you run out of fuel, that aborts the mission. There we go. And that topped up the fuel. I've got to do 3 launches. This is going to be fun. Oh, the launches is through there. If you complete a mission at this level, you get 500,000 points. I've got an extra ball. So it means then if I die, I should hopefully stay on ball 1. There we go. I've just completed some training. You'll level up if you complete 3 of these. Or if you go for a special mission, you get 750,000. Nice. So I'm getting close to 1 million points. Whoops. You get a crash bonus at the end. So if it's your first ball, you get... Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, of course, I forgot. I've got an extra ball. Okay, but that gives me 7,500. Yeah, and I've got to redeploy. So it goes 15,000, 30,000, 75,000, 30,000, 15, 7.5. So 2 balls lit, 1 light lit up will give you, so if you get either 1 light or 5 lights, you get 15,000. 2 lights or 4 lights would be 30,000. 3 lights exactly is 75,000. 6 lights is 7,500. That's how those 6 lights work there. And then you've got plugs down there as well. Got another hyperspace bonus. And, oh, it's the same mission as I had before. Try not to press X or the full stop button too often because you will tilt. Okay, so that gave me 25,000 points. I'm now on my second ball because that was the extra one. I wonder what I'll get after the third ball. If I get 25,000 for 2. This is hypothetically my third ball. I've just gone back into the same wormhole. And that refills your ship as well. But if you go down there again, you'll end up losing it. Oh, I got jackpot. So now I'm on my third ball. I'm actually doing quite well. That will give me 30,000, which will hopefully give me the 1.5 million. There we go. I'm at 1.5 million. Hyperspace bonus. Ship refueled. And oh, I'm multiplying everything by 2. Okay, 25,000. Okay, Well, that's a relatively decent score for this game. I mean, when I played it in practice run, I just managed to get about 200,000, which is absolutely rubbish for this standard. So the next thing I wanted to look at while I've got enough time is there's a new program called Microsoft Money, which came under Microsoft Works. It came part of Microsoft Works. I'm going to put in 0. And then if you click on bank, that's what you've got there. The account manager is there. And then we can add a balance. With that in mind, and then you just do the end and balance there. Okay. Yeah, I will postpone it. I don't want it to be saved to my A. I'll put it to D instead. I'll look more into that when I do the next system. There's the backup that we've got there. And that sorts out everything there. There's one more thing I wanted to have a look at while there's just about enough time. And that is, we wanted to have a look at, there's a new look Schedule Plus. I'm going to work alone on this one. I am going to, you can type more than 8, you can type more than 10 characters. And we will just create a new schedule file. And interestingly enough, with this, if I go into the studio, I'm just going to call it my schedule. That is allowing you to work past 2019, as you can see in the calendar on the top. So I'm going to put that in. And there we go. So you just click off it and then you can just work with that. Let's close that for a moment. And that's what you've got. Another thing I wanted to look at, which will have to be in the next video, is putting all of this into a binder. So I can then just go down to one file instead of that. Then of course I have to clear the binder when I may have to clear the binder as the files get outdated. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.